now tuned into the greatest.
Discipline myself, so when that bag come, I won't fumble. I'm just stacking on the low, but hey, I'm tired of being humble. Let me get to it. That motivation music, get control of your life. Don't let nobody else do it. Cause when I gon' have Metro S550s cruising, feel like you winning on the ground.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. Now, I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, just go ahead and shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we will go ahead and play your take back on our next episode. And then speaking of episodes, shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but my Tigers been balling, so of course I got to go see them. I still got to see them. I've seen the Cubs already, but use that code, go get your tickets. You can go to concerts, all that stuff as well. A lot of people are performing this summer, so go ahead. Don't miss out on none of that stuff. Now, however, my Tigers, I always mention it for the SeatGeek promotion and everything. And I say, my Tigers is this and they that. They've been doing this and doing that. But I will say over the past week in that Seattle Mariners series, they really didn't display a great example of what I've been saying about how great the Tigers are. Oh, man. We got demolished. We got demolished by the Mariners. It was disgusting. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was bad it was bad pitching. Offensively, it really wasn't that bad, like hitting the ball and stuff like that. We still had, our hitters kind of still did their thing. Torkelson did his thing. Green kind of still did his thing. And there was a couple games that was actually close in that series. Actually, it was one specifically toward the end, but the score just does not reflect any of that. Looking at the game, it looked a little sloppy at times, game after game. I'm talking day 1, day 2, day 3. It looked bad at times. We gave up 35 runs in 3 games, which is just disgusting. This is very unlikely for the Tigers that I've been watching all season. I haven't seen them play like this at all, and we haven't got swept by anybody at all. This is the first time all season where we did get swept. So that did concern a lot of people as well. But offensively, we weren't really bad for real. It was a couple people. Meadows, he still struggled. Bearings, he kind of struggled still. But it really, our clutch performers and our guys that we can usually count on did show up for the most part, and they did what they usually do. I think if anything, this series here against the Mariners, us getting swept, us allowing 35 runs in 3 games, if anything, this just shows to the problem that we need more pitching help outside of Skubal. I mean, he's great, and he even struggled at times in this series. You kind of seen the frustration in his face and in his game all throughout this series because he was pitching, and it still really wasn't the best type of performance for the Tigers all along that game. But he also got pulled early because of the All-Star thing. But above all, this just shows that the Tigers, we need more help come pitching time, bro, because outside of Skubal, we kind of struggle. We allow a lot of runs. I mean, we let guys, it was kind of a home run derby, early ticket to the home run derby watching this Mariners and Tigers series all throughout the weekend because I enjoyed that they tried to throw in some different guys and let some position guys pitch and kind of get a feel for the game, especially since we had to rest Skubal for the All-Star break and things like that. You want to keep him fresh. Don't want his arm to go bad at all, but it was rough, man. It was just a rough time for the Detroit Tigers. And as I talk about the Tigers, I also want to give credit to the Mariners too, because they did their part. Oh my gosh, Cal Riley, this dude, I think he's leading the league in home runs right now. But Cal Riley, man, this dude is serious, and he's close to hitting 400 total. But whew, man, he was on a tear. I think he performed well. I would have to go back and double check. But I'm pretty sure Riley performed well all throughout the series besides that last game. The last game, he kind of struggled a little bit. But just looking at the scores of these games, man, it was rough. It was extremely rough. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. So, it's not bad. And I don't think anyone should overreact. But I do want to give context on why I'm like going hard on the Tigers for, having such a rough time here in this series, against the Mariners. And Mariners, they're not a bad team. If the playoffs was to start, they'd be in it. So you can't count them out. But that first game, we lost 12-3. A beatdown. We caught the belt. I'll put it that way. Plain and simple, we caught the belt. It was a beatdown. 12-3. The second game, it was still rough. 15-7. I don't know how the hell we was allowing so many runs. The third game, 8-4. And it was also a little bit closer toward the end. But again, the score doesn't necessarily reflect that. But if anything, all this shows here in this series against the Mariners, yeah, we got swept. Yeah, we didn't play the best type of baseball for anybody who watched us for the first time. But it just shows that we need to make moves at the deadline to help our bullpen. We need to have more pitching consistency. We need to have more depth at the pitching and on the mound. Like, we just need more when it comes to pitching in the ball game outside of Skubal, because we know what he can do. He's great. But when he's struggling or we have to rest him, we need other guys to step in. So this brings me to the thought of, okay, with the deadline coming up pretty soon, obviously we got to make some moves. Draft happened today. I'm not going to analyze the draft as I'm talking about this, but with the deadline coming up, we got to make some moves. The biggest rumor right now is Paul Skenes. If we get Paul Skenes with Tariq Skubal, I would personally, you wouldn't hear anything else outside of going to the World Series for the Detroit Tigers. That's all I would say. Any other clip that you would see about the Tigers would just be World Series if we somehow landed Paul Skenes and kept Tariq Skubal and continue, didn't have to give up much. Long story short, I would be shocked. I would love to see that. But it's just, it's tough to manage because you don't want to give up too much in this situation. But it's also like, yeah, we've kind of built in-house, which is amazing from what we've done so far. But how much longer will it take through the years? And then obviously we know a lot of people are going to be big targets coming into next season just because of the way that they've been playing. So, I feel like we just need a little bit more pitching wise. And I know there's some other prospects we can get for fielding and stuff like that. But at the mound is where we need the most work for the Detroit Tigers. And possibly, to me, in order to make that deep playoff run, that's going to be the biggest issue. So that's like what I'm focusing on. But I'm cool with the in-house, the slow growth with everybody here type of thing, and guys we're building ingrown stuff like that. I'm cool with that, but I just think like some people might not be able to hang around. Like, I think certain guys, because they've been playing so well with the Tigers, if we don't make a move on them, somebody like the Yankees, Phillies, Braves, somebody else is going to try and snatch them up. So I think about this with guys like Torkelson. He's one of those people where I'm like, he might get snatched up down the line. Cole Keith, he's another one where I'm like, maybe if he's not the one, if we don't mess around and lock him up on the deal, then he'll probably be gone. God forbid we lose Skubal. I don't even want to think about that. But just certain pieces we have to make sure we keep. And obviously I'm cool with the long growth, but it does take time. And the more time goes along and the more these guys continue to establish themselves and show that how great of baseball players they are, the rest of the league is also going to be on notice. And they got money. Somehow everybody else be finessing the luxury tax, and they be finessing these contracts. So if the Tigers don't get on it, I just don't want to lose anyone trying to be patient in building the roster down the line. I want to go ahead, still have a sense of urgency. Let's bring people in at the deadline, make some moves if we have to. But ultimately, I just don't want to be too patient and end up losing out on talent that we should have retained and we should have kept to go on a deep playoff run. So at that, man, I say all that to say this All-Star break was needed for the Tigers. Getting swept against the Mariners, it was rough. It looked nasty. They were very unlike themselves in a lot of these games, in a lot of situations. We've seen just muffed balls and just drops. We just seen it just was unlike the Tigers that I've been watching and that I've been paying attention to. So it was weird to me, but this break is going to be good. We come back against the Rangers. They're like, you can't sleep on them, but they also aren't the best team in the American League right now. So I'm not too worried, but it would be a good step for us and a good challenge for us to kind of refocus and get back on track after getting swept by the Mariners. But also, I don't think anyone should be overreacting in this situation. anyone who watched this Mariners series with the Tigers, and I know the Tigers played bad, whatever, but you shouldn't overreact because we're seeing a lot of teams get swept. I mean, it wasn't on me. I knew the Tigers wasn't just going to go all season long without possibly getting swept, without possibly having a losing series. Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that they would just go all season long and not get swept. We've seen the Dodgers just come off of a 6-game, 7-game losing streak, but yet they're still a top team in the league. So, it's no need to overreact about it. They had a bad stretch, and there'll probably be another bad stretch that the Tigers go through. I'm sure it might be 2 or 3 more that we see where they play a team and get swept. But I'll leave you with this. The last time the Tigers got swept by the Mariners, guess what happened? We won the World Series. We won the World Series. So, hey, I ain't saying it's going to happen, but look, it's possible. Last time the Tigers got swept, we won the World Series. I'm going to leave it at that. All right, look, we got some more stuff coming up, man. Don't go anywhere. We got some stuff about Kirk Cousins, man. A lot of people feeling sorry for Kirk Cousins. And is it necessary? Is it not? I will let you know if it is necessary, if we need to have a heart for Kirk Cousins or not in this situation. But stay tuned. It's halftime. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.